Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to She's Successful. Thank you for tuning in today. We have a great show lined up for you today, and I'm your host once again, Nadia. We have
Monica.
Lavita.
How you guys doing today?
Doing really good.
Doing good.
So for all of you out there, first and foremost, we want you to share this video. Let all your friends know that we're on because we have a very great show lined up for you today. And if you didn't join us last night, you should have, because we had a very good show yesterday. Our International Love Connection show. We are always looking for guests. So if you want to be a guest, make sure you get in our inbox. And as always, if you want us to sponsor your product or your service, also inbox us. And while you're in the mood for sharing things, send us some stars, because us girls over here, we love stars, right? Don't we, ladies?
We sure do.
Yes, we do.
What you guys think about last night's show?
Monica?
I liked it a lot. I thought there was a good connection with both of them, especially towards the end when they both saw and seen each other, and he was really excited because she was really beautiful. She was really beautiful.
Yeah. You know, I went back and watched it last night, and I said, boy, did he look happy at the end. He was. He was like, yeah, when we made that connection. So, hey, if you want to get the hookup, let us hook you up, so inbox us if you want a chance to be on the show. Mm-hmm. We also have a great show lined up for you tomorrow with Cindy Judd. It's about people that are grieving. If you've ever had a lost loved one, this is a show that you want to tune into. And then we also have some new content coming. We have some new content coming from Monica. It's called What's the Word? Monica, talk about your new show that you got coming on to She's Successful.
It's really about celebrity gossip. It's tomorrow, so you guys tune in to watch it. And we're basically going to be talking about the celebrities.
Yes.
I think we all know who one of the main celebrities that we will be talking about, but
Let me guess who. Because it's some real hot topics going on out here.
Yeah.
Before we get started, though, I hope y'all took y'all goalie today. I took mine late, so I'm like, my energy's drained. I went to bed late last night. I was up early this morning. Took a little nap. Literally rolled out of bed like a few minutes ago. So I'm gonna pop my goalie because it has that good old vitamin B12, and I need help for the energy. I need my energy today. Y'all can tell I'm like what they say with the computer. I'm lagging.
Okay.
I feel like I'm lagging today. Did you guys take your goalie today?
I did.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Kickstart your day with Goalie. Use our code She's Successful and save 10% on your order. These gummies include vitamins B12 and B9 that support healthy immune function, heart health, and maintain healthy energy metabolism.
Guys, we have such a good show today. Today, we titled our show, we titled it From Abuse to Abundance, because this lady that we have coming on, she has gone through so much in her life, from abuse, like child abuse, domestic abuse, and now she is really thriving. We prepared a little video for you to see, learn a little bit about her before we bring her on. So let's cue up that video. And then we're going to bring...
Juri Love, aka Goddess of Connection, is a survivor of child sex abuse, domestic violence, bullying, and homelessness. She was born and raised in Japan. She has 2 children, Jaden and Jayla, and is thriving in her life as a single mom and entrepreneur. She has many accolades that include being a recipient of the Heroes Among Us from the Boston Celtics and the Volunteerism Award from the New England Patriots. She is also an award-winning TV film producer, journalist, musician, model, actress, and podcaster who uses her platform to bring awareness to people suffering from similar social issues like she endured.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Juri Love. Can I get a round of applause from everybody? Welcome, welcome. We are so happy to have you here today. So welcome. And just reading your story, it's just so inspiring. I sat and I looked at all of your social media links. And by the way, we got all of her social media links below. And we always love when we have inspirational people on the show. Our channel is She's Successful, and it's a channel that we reach out to women all across the world. And we have women out there that are really struggling in so many different areas in life. And it seems like you've kind of covered like the whole gambit, and your expertise would really help these ladies today. So welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We tried to do a little bit in the video, but I know we can't encompass everything that you've achieved.
Yes.
So tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, Nadia, Monica, Lavida, thank you so much for having me on your platform. And then I really appreciate you making the video. I wasn't expecting that. And really, the video highlighted my life, but just want to introduce my book, which is called A Gift from Adversity, which is available on Amazon. And this is, thank you, Overcoming Sexual Abuse, Domestic Violence, Bullying, and Homelessness. But this became Amazon #1 new release in 2020 in 3 different categories.
#1.
Oh,
Yes. Congratulations.
But the greatest thing, I think, is after I published my book, a lot of people reached out to me and then really got connected with a lot of survivors in those issues. And just to let you know, for instance, some people who are in the middle of domestic violence reached out to me, and I was able to connect her with some of the organization which I actually modeled last night for domestic violence awareness, called Love Life Now Foundation, lovelifenow.org, which helps domestic violence victims. We had 5 female, 5 male models, and then we represented the domestic violence survivor that we wore this gorgeous outfit and then brought awareness. But I've been doing this work, not just my book, but also a podcast. It's called A Gift from Adversity, the same title as my book. And I've had about 73 guests from all over the world, started in 2022. So this podcast is not just highlighting what I went through, but adversity itself. But I didn't want to make the podcast just as somebody is complaining about their lives, but all the tools that we use to overcome and a gift that came from it. And it's been such an amazing experience. A lot of people will say, oh, Juri, you went through child sex abuse, homelessness, bullying, domestic violence, just get a therapist. But that's not easy. It's a lifelong work. And I am where I am today. I'm 46 years old. When I was in 20s, I could not even say a word, father. I didn't even know what PTSD was. I didn't know what sexual abuse was. This was in 80s in Japan, where nobody talked about Me Too movement. Nobody talked about sexual abuse, domestic violence. Like the father or the parents or authority have the say. The children won't have the say. And basically, I did not know what it was, but like you mentioned, my father, a little bit sexual abuse was my father, 2 uncles that I lived since age 4 to 13, and I escaped from him after enduring all aspects of abuse, physical, sexual, verbal, you name it. And then after I left, my parents got divorced when I was 8, and after I started to live with my mom, she basically didn't understand physical abuse, yes, but not the sexual. And then because I don't think there was not so much to that was out there, so she said I was lying. So I tried to kill myself. And then there
So
was no mental health.
before you get too
Mhm.
far into that, we
Sure.
wanted to tap off of those questions
Yeah.
and
Okay.
ask you about your abuse. You said you were 4 years old when it started, correct?
Yeah.
And
Around
who
that.
was your abuser, by the way?
As I mentioned, my father and two uncles.
Okay, and did she have any knowledge of what was going on, or did you try to explain it to her as a 4-year-old?
Well, she what I wasn't sure what it was, and then my mom, my dad got separated when I was 7 years old, and she was heavily physically abused, so she was trying to escape herself too. So we were in the both midst of this chaos and then sensory emergency.
Oh, wow.
And to be honest with you, Lavita, when you are that young, and then when people are sexually abusing you, a lot of cases that and by the way, I'm a journalist. I've written over 400 articles. I'm usually front cover, photo story. I've written like 17 articles last month alone. I've covered a lot of heavy topics and even sexual assault, human trafficking. A lot of people tell, like especially the young victims, they don't know what's going on. People, the perpetrator manipulate you. This is a tickling game. This is a game. They laugh
So
and then no.
would you say they were grooming you in the beginning?
Like manipulating. Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, like they said, it's a tickling game.
Yeah.
okay, so it started out like a game.
And as a child, you don't know really if it's
Right.
a game or is this something that's supposed to happen. But was it like around the age of 7 when you finally realized this is not right?
Well, I was beaten up a lot too. So,
Okay.
for instance, my dad picked my ear up and then threw me to the wall, or
Oh,
kicked me in my
wow.
stomach and then grabbed my head and then pounded my desk. I tried to escape from him. He chased me with the car, got me in the car, found me, slapped me to death. On top of that, physical abuse, the sexual abuse, the hardest part is a lot happened when I was sleeping. And one night I woke up and then started wrong, kissing, molesting, and all that stuff. And then, but one time I remember that he forced me to do bath and then grabbed my hand and
Your sound is kind of going a little bit in and out.
oh, sorry.
There you go.
Um,
Clear. There you go.
basically he said to he forced me to take a bath and then asked me to grab his testicles because it feels really good.
Oh, wow.
So I can tell you more gory details, but it's
Yeah.
not the point. The point is a lot of kids who go through sexual abuse, they don't know what it is. They don't have a voice. They don't have education.
They don't have the education and also they're scared, I think, to even.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And in your case, you said your mom at first she did not believe you when you told her
Well,
about the sexual abuse part.
yeah. So she left. She pretty much escaped from my dad, and then so she when I confided her, like about physical abuse part, she definitely understood because she was also getting beaten up. But the sexual abuse, she didn't believe me until very later in my life, not like 20 years later or so.
Juri, there are a lot of women out here, and I know you say your mom was beaten as well. There are a lot of women out here that are in abusive relationships, but it could be physical. So can you kind of define to women out there that may be in relationship, what is abuse? Because it's physical, but it's also like a mental component to it. So can you kind of break down, because some ladies, then they're in a situation they're not happy, but they're denying or kind of like in denial that they're in an abusive relationship. So what are some of the signs of abuse?
Nadia, thank you so much. First of all, I want to shout out to my friend LeVon Gordon who put up this event last night where we had domestic violence survivor, and then one of the survivor is a man, and also the people who lost their loved one to domestic violence. So to answer your question, I think a lot of women, men too, when they are in abusive situations, there are many forms, like you mentioned. physical, sexual, financial, verbal, emotional. But then a lot of statistics shows 7 to 8 times they try to leave, but that they won't because there's a honeymoon stage, there's abusive stage, and that circles around. So even if you're getting abused, the next day the perpetrator or your partner, boyfriend, whatever, husband will do something sweet, and then you think that, oh, it was just a mistake, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So the cases that I heard was his mom was trying to leave 7, 8 times, but the ninth time she got killed. And then I met a woman whose daughter was killed. Her case was awful. Her ex-boyfriend, after she broke up, he burned her car. So she went to the court in Florida, and the judge denied the restraining order. And ninth time, 10th time, he broke in and killed her in the kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
So what I'm saying is these signs, a lot of people, men, women, both sides that I talked to met. Of course, there's a red flags. There, of course, there are signs, but we don't know what to do because again, there's a sweet part of it, and then also the void. So I'm talking about not just the current situation, but you have to dig into the root of why you attracted these people into your life, and why you couldn't say no at the beginning. In my case, personally, because of the void that was created, because of the violation that I had endured when I was a child. I had no self-advocacy education, no self-respect education, no self-care whatsoever. Beaten up, sexually abused, like nothing was protected then. So then when men shows up and then start to show me some like an affection and all that stuff, I just get confused, and I sometimes like really get attracted to these men who are in like who had endured same situation, which is really not healthy. And I feel like I could help them, save them, end up getting abused again. So I think it's a birth cycle. And then I think a lot of people that Nadia that you mentioned who don't understand, am I getting abused? Am I getting like in a messed up situation? We don't know, like we just don't know because sometimes when you're in love you just don't know. So I think to prevent it, I think it's so important that we as a woman and as a man too, that when people are rude to you, like say they're swearing at you, they put hands on you, they are sexually forcing you, financially abusing you, pressuring you, those are absolute no. And even one time, it's not okay. There are 8 billions of us out there. The people don't understand that this man is the best person that I've ever encountered. And then being journalist, being a filmmaker, TV producer, I meet a ton of people every day. I meet so many people. I get bombarded with messages. Can you write my articles? When I produced my film, Go Chase Yourself, I had 140 people in my team. And then when I go on a movie set, there's like maybe 400 people that we work together. And so you constantly meet people. So I'm really getting better at seeing the rudeness and the signs and sexual, like an harassment and assault, whatever the case it is. And I'm getting better at reporting it, getting better at advocating for other people. I'm getting better at finding resources and how to handle the situation.
So I think a lot of times we see the red flags, but we be in denial as women. What are some of the things that we could do to avoid that? What should we be, as soon as we see those little red signs, we should just basically get out of that relationship. Would you agree? If we see those signs?
Yeah, so a couple things, Lavita, I want to tell you. So first of all, when people are rude in this generation, we can block, we can go to contact on iPhone and then block, delete, and then social media, absolutely delete, and don't think about it. And don't let them waste your day. Don't emotionally engage. That think you are doing some administration work and then just doing some business that you don't need anybody saying that to you, and you don't need anyone being rude to you. And I think boundary is so important that people don't talk about it too much. Mental health, people don't talk about it. And I think normalizing this kind of conversation, I appreciate your podcast so much. Bringing this to forefront and then shedding light to these issues. More people who talk about these issues and then kind of prevent it. What are the signs? Those are so important. Conversation and then having trusted people around you. Who can you trust? And the one thing I really want to tell you guys and everybody in the audience, unfortunately, if you did get sexually assaulted, my personal case. So whoever that you, so a lot of times this sexual assault violence happens between two people. So there's no video, maybe surveillance, but a lot of times in private area, like room, whatever, car, and or somewhere that maybe it's hard to find eyewitness. But the first person that you tell, that becomes your first witness. However, that person, he or she might not be with you then. And I learned later on. So there is a victim protection. So if the perpetrator goes after your first, second, third witness, if your girlfriend, if you're like a friend, a boy, like whoever dating, that person is protected if the perpetrator comes to that person. But the wife, children, all these people don't have protection. So the perpetrator can come after their family member. It's very dangerous. They are very obsessed with, they can stalk you, find all the information. So my first advice is, if unfortunately ever get to the point where you are domestic violence and physical abuse, sexual abuse that you experience, where you need a law enforcement and then have to go to trial and stuff, go to the police station, confine the first witness to be a policeman or policewoman, and that person will go to the court with you with a trial, and then the police officer has more protection than civilians. Obviously, the perpetrator, I don't think they will go to his wife to attack the policeman's office. So my advice, biggest advice, is really go to the police station. Don't tell. You can, whoever you tell has to come to the court with you.
Yeah.
So if you want to protect your friends and family members, especially from these very abusive, crazy perpetrators, my advice is go to the police station, and then the first officer, second officer, third officer, you need the three witnesses to win the case at the trial. Bring those police with you, and they will be witness.
Okay, let me reiterate this to the women out there that's currently being abused or traumatized by a loved one, their husband, their boyfriends. If you are in a situation like that, Juri is saying the first thing you should do is go to the police. You go to the police department because that's your first point of contact. And he is your witness. The police is your witness. And so when you need to go to court to get the process going, as far as getting separated, a separation, or an order of protection, you have your first point of contact, which is the police.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, Jury. I'm going to shift this conversation a little bit to talk about your volunteerism and all the accolades that you achieved. How were you able to take? And we had a question that someone had asked, but it was like, how did you get inspired to make that transition? To get into volunteerism, and you also had a non-for-profit called Genuine Voices. So how did you make that transition from being abused to being, a person that now wants to help people? Like, how did that transition happen?
Sure. Thank you, Nadia, and thank you so much for your research. I really appreciate you. And then I talked about it on Gift from Adversity. When I was 17, I was about to drop out high school in Japan, and then I really thought, like, no, my life would have no meaning. I tried to commit suicide when I was 15, and I just didn't think there was any future. I started to volunteer. Actually, it was somebody that I was seeing suggested that I should do community service, which is kind of rare in Japan. In America, it seems to be more popular. But anyways, I would say the night that I served the wheelchair bound man, and then I served his meal, had a conversation, he really changed me. And I realized no matter how hard your life is, you can see, you can hear, you can move. And you're born with full potential. My mind was the one that was killing my potential. So when you try to diminish your ability, it's a lot of elements to it. But then I realized first element is my brain, and then my saying that I can't do this because I went through this. But then after that, I decided, I swore myself I would never complain and I would never give up. I would never say I can't do it until I try 1,000 times and fail, or maybe less. And then basically, after that, I applied to come to America as exchange program. I was actually selected by Japanese government in those program. I was in elite program, and I was greeted by Crown Prince, Crown Princess. Um, Now it's emperor and empress when I was 18. And I did a lot of community service in Japan after that. And I modeled. However, my friends said you're not the prettiest. But I didn't listen. And then I became fashion model in Tokyo. I've done a lot of fashion magazines and it was great. And I came to Berkeley College of Music. However, I became homeless. I worked really hard at the hotel, five-star hotel in Tokyo, and I saved about $30,000 by myself when I was 19, 21, got a scholarship. And then when I graduated from Berkeley College of Music, 9/11 happened. And then I read a book about a man who taught journalism in the detention program in California, and then some became screenwriter in Hollywood. And that story really inspired me to start a nonprofit, Genuine Voices, as you mentioned. So we taught music to detention in the detention program in Greater Boston area. In the program, I originally started the Boys and Girls Club, which was recommended by probation officer in Dorchester District Court. That he said, you don't know anything about gang, you're from Japan. Start with high risk at risk youth, which has in a high crime area. That was 2001, and today 2022, almost 23, that program is still going strong. And then we got donor to donate 100 grand to rebuild the music program. And then I even met a boy who started the program at age 3. Now he's 19, 20, and then he became an amazing musician. And it's just lifelong project. But the detention program that I did through the nonprofit 501c3 Genuine Voices, I closed it a couple years ago. I did run 12 years as a president and founder, and then throughout the years that I dedicated myself to this program, we definitely changed many lives. I'm so proud. And these are the hardship, blood and crips and gang members that had no aid whatsoever. And basically, the music program that we provided brought their self confidence, self esteem, and something like I didn't have when I was growing up. So I'm very proud that team of us really went inside of the detention program and help, and therefore NBA Boston Celtics gave me Heroes Among Us, New England Patriots gave me Volunteerism Award. Very grateful for the recognition as well. But not only that, saving lives through music and then being really there for the people who needed our love and music and service. It was just amazing experience.
That sounds so amazing. And congratulations on all of those accolades and reaching out to the youth as well. And through music, music is very healing. And you're also an actress. I saw credits on, what is that called? The IMBD or something. I saw a lot of movies and stuff. Let's talk a little bit about your acting career.
Sure. So as I said, I started modeling for mostly fashion magazine in Tokyo, and I've done some fashion shows and stuff. And then I came to America, really focused on my music, nonprofit. But along the way, I found a really wonderful agency in Boston called Model Club. So I started to model a lot of commercial stuff. and movie too. But then my kids came along and they got both signed and they are booking left and right. They are doing a really great job. But I've done Don't Look Up with Anne McKay. I was a Japanese reporter for the movie. I had a movie tour. It was wonderful, pampered style treatment. It was great. And my son's in Don't Look Up as well, and as a speaking part. So I accompanied him, and he did Listen Clubhouse, covering the Boston Red Sox. He just did Star Wars commercial, Spider-Man commercial. My daughter, Eddie Bauer, Converse, Kez, you name it, a lot of big brands. And I'm very lucky to have this multiple career, but it's been a hard work, and I really appreciate all the opportunity. But at the same time, just to mention, it's been like what we talked about earlier, a hard work, not just a physical exercise, mental exercise, emotional exercise, and how do we get to from here to here, and then how do you maintain the success? And just to, even Don't Look Up, I had 2 days booking, I was in the trailer, I was getting star treatment, fully star treatment. However, my first night when I came home, I had a nervous breakdown with so much expectation. And, it was, I had a freeze moment. And I looked at my mirror, you got this. I've worked hard. So what I'm saying is, no matter how much you feel you're prepared for these opportunities, you just have to be physically, mentally, like 200% ready every day. And you never know. And I did this movie called Shang-Chi, the Marvel Studio Legend of Ten Rings. I was Michelle Yao's photo double. I was so honored, and I've done a lot of extra work. And I'm just booked 3 days in November with a big movie that I cannot tell, but it's really really exciting, very exciting.
Oh, we're going to be looking forward to that. Absolutely.
Yes.
We got a few minutes left. There is one question here that says, I want to know more about your regular life and how do you maintain all these things so smoothly?
Millie, thank you so much for the question. So I think one important thing that I want to mention is my counselor one time told me that a lot of people who went through sexual abuse, they either go drug abuse, all this homelessness, like really down spiral. But the another one called super achievement, where you feel not validated enough that you keep going. So I kind of had that traits myself. But now I'm at the point I worked really, really, really hard to get to where I am today. The opportunities are coming my way, so I'm just taking it, and I don't think of next thing. I focus on writing one article and then finish it and then move on. I focus on going to one movie set, really focus on. So try to not think of other things, just show up, be ready, execute your job, and then move on to the next thing. Because a lot of people tend to get anxiety, oh, what's gonna do, what's gonna happen. But when you are having the anxiety and then think about something else, you could be doing more productive work. So I think the brain, how it works, is that if you don't think about another thing, but just focus on moment, focus on finishing what you're doing, and really try to be there for yourself and for others, mentally, physically. That's the thing. And then I think appreciation, I always make sure that everybody knows that I'm thankful. I do a lot of thank you cards. So for instance, on a movie set, like when I did uh I produced about like 9 films so far, indie films. A lot of people know I'm a thank you card producer. I always try to handwrite thank you card to everybody. And then even like little things like that can smooth out the relationship. And I think for me, anything I do it with love, and I do it with appreciation. And that's kind of how you maintain not only your relationship with others, but with yourself.
We got time for one more question here from Lauren. Who supported you the most during your ups and downs?
Um, he is in heaven, but his name is Ed Little, and he was a bus driver when I was 18, when I was exchange student. And I don't want to cry, but he was the person that believed in me and encouraged me that I have a God-given talent to music. And then when he was alive, he always checked in with me and then said, "I love you. I'm proud of you." Even the last conversation we had, he said, "I love you and I'm proud of you." And he was just a stranger bus driver, and then who really believed in me and then instilled the confidence in me.
Awesome, amazing. Juri, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and talking to our audience. And again, I hope that the ladies and some of the men out here too really listened and know the signs and know what to do to get out of a domestic violence situation. Because it's serious. It's no joke, and it's a lot of people grow up seeing their parents in arguments or fighting, and you think it's normal, but it's not okay. And like Levita said best, and Juri said best, go to the police. Let somebody know what's going on. You got to get out of that situation. Um, all of Juri's links are below. We want you to go and follow all of her social medias. Make sure you check out her podcast. And again, this book, A Gift from Adversity. This is Overcoming Sexual Abuse, Domestic Violence, Bullying, and Homelessness. I want everybody to go out here and get this book. And if you know someone, if you're not a victim of domestic abuse and you suspect somebody is, make this a stocking stuffer because, the holidays are coming up. And sometimes you don't know how to say things to people. You don't know how to address it if you feel like a friend or somebody is going through abuse. So have them tune into her podcast, and they can get this book on Amazon, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so get this book on Amazon and share it with someone because I feel like it could help so many women out here. So once again, thank you all today for joining us on She's Successful. Juri, much appreciated. We hope we can have you back on the show for additional segments. But I love when we do shows like this because it just reaches so many women. This was very powerful. I was kind of quiet because I was doing so much listening. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Yes, thank you. And I read all the comments, and thank you so much for pouring love. And then thank you so much for having me, Nadia, Monica, and Lavita. And I just really appreciate you. I'm crying because I'm thinking about Ed, but not only that, last night I had such a powerful, amazing moment with all these domestic violence survivors. And, this is really not easy to talk about, but it took me maybe 2 or 3 decades to be able to even be on a podcast and talk about this. So I really appreciate you creating this platform.
What you're doing is very powerful and very meaningful, and don't stop. Keep sharing this knowledge. Keep sharing this knowledge because I'm telling you, you've touched some people out here today. People are just saying stay strong. They appreciate you getting lots of compliments. So thank you so much. And once again, thank you to all of our audience that tuned in. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode. So until next time, guys, bye-bye. Have a good episode.